Coming up on Mountain News this morning, the rate of positive tests is on the climb in the Commonwealth. Hear from health experts about what that means for Kentuckians. And families have the opportunity to visit loved ones again at Kentucky nursing homes as visitation restrictions ease. But there are some requirements that homes have to meet first. And we talked with one family in Laurel County who turned their pandemic hardships into a new opportunity to grow.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning. It is 1 minute after 6 o'clock on this Thursday, July the 16th. I'm Will Puckett. Thank you for tuning in to Mountain News this morning. We could be in store for some thunderstorms later this afternoon, and Brandon's going to tell us that some of them could be pretty significant, and it's going to be all for naught because it's going to be warm today, and that warm trend is just going to continue. But I guess I can't complain too much, Brandon, because it is July after all.
Exactly. So again, it's not supposed to be cold in July. If it was, that'd be 2020 in its finest. But again, we're going to continue to see some nice conditions early today. We'll see, again, dry this morning, less fog this morning. So that's some good news for folks who are traveling off to work this morning. UVA-wise, pretty quiet over in Southwest Virginia. But these temperatures, man, I tell you, it's crazy. 78 degrees in Prestonsburg this morning. Wasn't yesterday. This is this morning, right now. 75 in Pikeville, Jackson 2, 69, Harlan, Middlesboro, and 68 in Williamsburg and Monticello. But a lot of 70s across the board. That was crazy. Look at this. How much warmer it was from this time yesterday. 14 degrees warmer in Prestonsburg, 10 in Pikeville, 11 in Hazard and Somerset. So temperatures are on the way up, not only now, but today. 92 this afternoon. When you factor in the heat index, could feel like closer to 100 at times. And those sun and clouds of the day give way to chances for showers and storms a little bit later on. I'll track those for you here in just a few minutes. Will?
Alrighty, Brandon, thank you. Well, Wednesday was another day with hundreds of new COVID-19 infections here in Kentucky. Governor Andy Beshear announced 477 new cases last night, raising the state's total to 20,677. We also learned of the deaths of 10 more Kentuckians. The state's death toll now sits at 645. There are several new cases in Perry and Harlan counties, which pushes their case totals to more than 100 each. And meanwhile, Laurel County is now up to 230 cases. Well, as more Kentuckians receive tests, health officials continue to monitor the positivity rate to see exactly how quickly the coronavirus is spreading. It's a measure of how many positive cases come out of all of the tests administered. For weeks, Kentucky's rate was under 4%, but now it's more than 5%. Jim Stratman explains what this means for Kentucky.
We all know that when you increase the number of tests, you're going to increase the number of positives. But that being said, it should be in parallel.
And it's not. Dr. Ryan Stanton is a Lexington physician who says that the sudden uptick in positivity rates we've seen in Kentucky could be a cause for worry.
What we're seeing in our area and around the country is the percent positives are going up disproportionately to the actual number of tests, meaning that the likelihood, if I test you, that you're positive is higher than it has been in the past, suggesting there is more spread out there.
The CDC guidelines for reopening that were released earlier this year say that the states should maintain a positivity rate of under 10% to be in phase 3 of reopening. Check.
The number is still actually very low compared to other parts of the country. We're seeing parts of the country where they're seeing a 20-25% of tests are coming back positive. So it's worrisome in that there's a slight uptick, but still Kentucky's numbers are significantly better than much of the country.
But since this virus spreads exponentially, a small uptick could turn into a much larger rise in positive cases quickly.
If you go into a restaurant or any type of business and they clearly have, they're not pushing the safety measures of COVID, I would turn around and walk out, because it's one of those things that the businesses need to take care of their people and need to take care of the customers, and you need to make sure that you are taking care of yourself and your family and loved ones.
Reporting in Lexington, Jim Stratman, WKYT.
Now, in Logan County, West Virginia, a 3-year-old girl tested positive for the coronavirus. Health officials there say the girl was tested during a drive-thru on Monday. It is believed the girl contracted the virus from a family member. Currently, officials say she is not showing any symptoms. Several young children have also tested positive in Kentucky over the past few days. Well, if you live in the Pulaski County area and want a COVID-19 test, you're in luck. A free COVID-19 drive-through testing site is being held tomorrow from 9 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon at the Pulaski County High School parking lot. 400 tests are available. There is no need for appointments and no eligibility requirements. You do not even need to leave your vehicle. Test results are expected within 48 to 72 hours. Lake Cumberland Health Department will follow up with a phone call to provide those results. Well, families have the opportunity to visit loved ones again at Kentucky nursing homes, but the visitation restrictions were lifted yesterday. Now, there are some facilities that are still holding off. There are requirements to meet before allowing guests. The Kentucky Association of Healthcare Facilities says centers must meet all monitored infection control procedures and have no positive patients in the facility within the last 28 days. For many residents, March was the last time they've been able to see their families in person.
A lot of us have been following stories from skilled nursing facilities and other long-term care settings, and they've been heartbreaking because you have people who have not been able to be really close to their family members. And as we all know, I mean, that human interaction is so important for our mental health.
Last month, smaller facilities like assisted living communities and personal care homes were allowed visitors again. Now, families all across Kentucky were reunited with their loved ones yesterday. For Tim Quaid, it is a moment that he had waited 5 months for. Quaid's mom, Thelma, lives at Kingsbrook Life Care Center in Ashland. The two, who usually go to lunch multiple times a week and spend Sundays together in church, were separated for 139 days.
In February, I was out of the country on vacation, came back and had to quarantine for 2 weeks before I could see Mom. And midway through that quarantine, the facility went into a complete shutdown.
While there are still several precautions that need to be met, Tim says it is all worth it to make sure his mother is staying safe. Well, the pandemic is forcing many people into difficult circumstances. For one Kentucky veteran, it's the reason he lost his job, making it difficult to provide for his family of 7. Shelby Smithson explains the help the family received to keep on going.
It's a nationally recognized organization. The Veterans Club helps thousands of veterans daily with things like mental health, housing, and employment. Ironically, the Kentucky veteran who was on the receiving end of one of the group's most recent missions had never heard of them. He just reached out to a friend who happened to be a member.
He was originally reaching out to him to try to sell some of his possessions. And so when one of our members asked kind of, why are you trying to get rid of everything? And then he told his story about, he lost a contract job because of COVID, and his wife was recovering from surgery and she wasn't able to work. And they have a family of 7, including a mentally disabled brother that he cares for. And they just really don't have food and the basic necessities that they need.
All it took was a phone call, a social media post in less than 24 hours to rally the Veterans Club troops. They ended up with more than $500 worth of groceries, along with hundreds in donations to help one brother in arms provide for his family until he can get back on his feet.
He is just super grateful. I mean, tears just rolled down his face. And this is his hard, strong, combat veteran here we're talking about, but that's what it's all about.
They may be known best for their National Equine Therapy Program and Homeless Veteran Housing Program, but it's efforts like this one that Harold says is how the whole organization got started.
He's now a member.
Shelby Smithson, WYMT Mountain News.
Now, when COVID-19 began, many people, including farmers, found themselves in a rut. But the Cornett family in Laurel County turned it into an opportunity. Owners Rhonda and Brent Cornett have opened their second produce storefront since the pandemic began. Previously, the pair were both laid off and had acres of hemp crop they could no longer use. Rhonda Cornett says she is grateful for the community's support.
I'm amazed myself just because of, like I said, God has just worked things out for us when we really were just so hopeless.
Corda says the best thing about the store is supporting local farmers. They are open Tuesday through Saturday. Masks are required. Well, we learned earlier this morning that the Golden Corral Buffet and Grill in Pikeville is closing for the foreseeable future. In a post on their Facebook page, officials with the Golden Corral location on Cassidy Boulevard said that the COVID-19 outbreak was taking a toll on their business. They will be ceasing operations tomorrow at 6 in the evening. In the post, officials thanked all of their loyal customers from the past 3 years since they opened for their loyalty.
Well, the forecast this morning here as we hit about 6:11, almost 6:12 this morning, we're looking at some limited visibility, but not nearly as bad as it has been the last little bit. Their last few days have been dense fog basically one day after another, but today a bit of a break. Not a break from the heat, though. This is one of the warmest mornings we've had basically this summer so far. 78 Prestonsburg, 77 Logan, a pair of 75s in Jackson and Pikeville. A little cooler as you come down toward the Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia borders, but still upper 60s, low 70s, even down toward the Lake Cumberland area, I-75, and the Cumberland Valley. Headlines today, those hot temperatures continue. It's going to be a very warm and muggy day, and that could fire off some stronger storms later. We'll track all that for you in a little bit, but more chances for rain are also in the forecast, and we'll track that for you as well. Will?
All righty, Brandon, thank you. And thank you for joining more Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Coming up, we take a look at how the response to climbing case numbers varies across the country, as nearly half of America is now under some sort of mask mandate.